trace back to its origin, the Apple Watch has always been Tim Cook's wildest dream. Tim Cook, he wanted to leave his mark on this planet as an inventor. Tim Cook became Apple CEO because it was his idea to pervade Chinese market. It was his idea. Albeit nowadays his glorious plan at the time has started to backfire, and Apple is suffering the undesirable aftermath, because in order to sell anything, in order to conquer such vast market, you have to pay the price. You have to sacrifice something. And at the time, Tim knew, he was aware, he was wholeheartedly aware that Apple had to hand over its intellectual properties to China, or Chinese enterprises, if you will, or trade secrets. Actually, now is the time to discontinue the Apple Watch. Now is a good time to ditch this product. But Tim Cook has always been so stubborn, so tenacious, because now it's not about too big to fail. Now it's about too embarrassed to fail. Do you remember that in the past, Steve Jobs had kind of like, he humbled himself numerous times in the past by discontinuing, well, several products. Like, did you know that Apple had made like a digital camera? It was a flop at the time, including game console, iPod Hi-Fi, the Apple Watch Series 4. Well, I'm not doing this for myself. I'm here in Thailand, disgraced, desperate, in Bangkok. I haven't spoken to anybody for probably like 4 months, let alone foreigners. I just didn't want to forget about English. I have never been outside this country. I never went to college. I never had like proper or formal training in English. Jesus. Anyhow, you probably know that the battery life of the 4th generation Apple Watch it doesn't live up to the hype as we had expected. Actually, the tragedy is, the most ironic is, well, the battery life of the 4th generation Apple Watch is at the bottom of the totem pole compared to its competitors on the market. I mean, in the exact same class. Some last for weeks. The battery life sucks, and it was left behind, and it won't be able to catch up for certain. Why? Because Apple had shifted its focus to other things. Cars, the Titan project, TV shows, credit card, the Apple Arcade. So consequently, the watch face. How do you define the word watch? It's a time tracker. The watch face is not always on. And you have very limited selection for new watch faces compared with its rivals. What about the new flagship feature? For instance, fall detection. The thing is, in order to prove its worth, you're gonna have to take a very sharp fall or tumble. Did you know that Apple did not guarantee that this thing will work in every instance? Apple did not guarantee and never will. What about the ECG? Well, actually, aka EKG from most doctors. You know what, I sincerely apologize for this annoying ambient noises because this video is being produced in Bangkok, Thailand, not Silicon Valley or Cupertino or Palo Alto. It's here in Bangkok, Bangkok, Thailand, in a slum. And nobody knows that I live here. It's kind of it's a shithole. So, what about the EKG? The EKG on the Apple Watch works intermittently. It doesn't work constantly, unlike its competitors like Fitbit, etc. And it doesn't detect heart attack.
What?
Well, I know it does provide like red flag or critical sign for, atrial fibrillation, cardiac arrhythmia.
Wow.
But it doesn't detect heart attack. And did you know that the result is utilitarian, is so vague? I mean, not that comprehensive compared to those what they call commercially available full-scale or full-fledged EKG machine. The idea is commendable. It's like the Edison machine, but it's just not there yet. The idea is as admirable, but the EKG it has only one lead, whereas those commercially available have like 12 leads. To give the picture, the sleep tracking feature, and you knew instantaneously that it lacks this feature because of the limitation of the battery life. Apple acquired a startup called Bedit in 2017, but thus far it hasn't been able to kind of like glean or harvest, I mean, from the amounts of money spent for that acquisition at the time. So I think it's a waste. I heard that they are, from one of my sources, they are waiting for the next huge step toward it kind of a new, completely evolved or evolutionized battery technology. From this very moment on, I'm going to tell you something that you may not know or you knew, but well, quite often you have overlooked or you took it for granted. One, well, in order to accurately measure your heart rate, you don't need an Apple Watch. Well, there are a handful of apps that allow you to just place the tip of your finger on the rear facing camera lens on the back of your phone for like 30 seconds and gives you the exact, precise or accurate result without having to buy a sequester device, which is the Apple Watch, or you can use the built-in pedometer. At the end you knew it. You knew, but you might have overlooked that you don't need the Apple Watch to measure your heart rate or to count your steps using pedometer. Did you know that in order to get the most accurate result from your Apple Watch, you have to wear your Apple Watch and your iPhone at the same time? Concurrently. You're gonna need probably an armband, and one of the most prominent tech journalists, the guy had just attested my notion recently. So what's the point then? To buy a distinct, you have to figure it out. The Apple Watch could physically kill you. Well, the Apple Watch itself, physically, it's sloppily made. It's defectively made, physically. A sizable portion of its current owners are experiencing that their Apple Watches are being dismembered. Sometimes the screen, the front panel to be precise, always automatically or kind of spontaneously detached themselves from the primary enclosures with no reason, regardless of the swollen batteries or not, or bloated battery. Don't just blame the battery. It's in short, it's sloppily made. And recently, a lady in Thailand, she was driving her daughter to school, and all of a sudden her daughter said, "Mom, your wrist is bleeding." The front panel had automatically detached from the enclosure, the chassis, then torn one of her veins right here open. Incidentally, it's the truth. I do have the photographs and pretty much everything, but without her consent. But I think it's too kind of I don't know. I ain't gonna show you that, but it happened. So the Apple Watch could kill you physically. I've been working for I think 4 or 5 months now for my several clients, and they are experiencing the exact kind of dilemma or technological ordeal. Well, the Apple Watch itself is somewhat, to be fair, is accurate, say it's accurate. But let alone tracking your activities, You can't even get it to work without a modern iPhone. The Apple Watch is not compatible with Android devices. Okay, the thing is, fast forward, long story short, in order to get the most from your pricey watch, there is an accompanying app on your iPhone, which is the watch app. The summary of your exercise, the report of your activities. That summary, particularly the green exercise ring, that green ring, this particular report on that accompanying app is inconsistent with your actual activities. And a lot of people are experiencing these issues here in Bangkok, Thailand. And after they have probably reached to Apple support community or the award-winning telephone technical support line, you know what? They have received the exact same kind of a lump or bunch of copy and paste, instructions. You know what? You're gonna have to reset these and that. Make sure you have the latest watch OS, the watch OS 5, the latest version for your phone, and this and that. You're gonna have to reset these, pair and repair the watch and this and that. Well, those are, for me, acceptable, except one thing. At the end of the instructions given by Apple staff or authorized service providers or whatever, it said the same thing, that you have to manually calibrate your Apple Watch.
Huh?
After you have pair or repair, reset, update, this and that, you have to go out under a cloudless sky on a windy day, and you have to walk or run for 20 minutes straight, constantly, without disruptions. You can pause every 5 minutes to cuddle your golden retriever, your beagle, or talk to your neighbor. You can't do anything. You're gonna have to walk or run for 20 minutes straight, constantly, without disruption, sporadically, probably every month or 2 times a month. We are talking about a $500 watch. Of course, if you purchased the LTE version, and now I think we are pushing mid-2019, a $500 watch that needs to be sporadically, manually calibrated on a weekly or monthly basis. Give me a break. This is the thing that Apple didn't tell you. You can conduct your own, little experiment. If you have 2 iterations of the Apple Watch, wear them, the 3rd generation or the 1st and the 4th generation, wear them simultaneously and go out for a run, and sometime the result shown on one watch is a far cry from the other one. I mean, inexplicably. Try that probably now. I do have my, little pieces of advice. 1, try not to buy an Apple Watch for your elderly person. Well, he or she will grudgingly accept it because, well, you're his grandson or her grandson, or if you did so, try not to keep calling them like on a weekly or a monthly basis. Well, Pop, have you tried this feature and that? You will be torturing them to death unwittingly. Number 2, if your heart is so fragile, so prone to be physically broken, you shouldn't be going out in the first place. You might consider buying a fine quality treadmill at home, and most people that I've known with heart conditions, symptoms, problem, well, in most cases, they already have like an amalgamation, a combination of what they call blood pressure monitor and heart rate monitor at home. And lastly, you don't need the Apple Watch to measure. The thing is, you don't need to buy the 4th generation Apple Watch in order to get that futuristic EKG. If you are currently using the 3rd iteration or the 2nd prototype stage, you might consider, I don't remember, I vaguely recall the name. You can buy an additional band from, well, trust me, I really have forgotten. But you don't really need to buy a new 4th generation Apple Watch. You can buy an additional third-party band with that built-in ECG feature, Cardia or something. So that's it. Jesus, my channel is pathetic. And probably, well, unlike Tiger Woods, my winning circle is probably over. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching.